Good evening, sir. This is Shivani calling, sir. Hello, sir. Nagaraja, sir.
Yes, Dr. Shivani, I'm here.
Hello, sir. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Shivani. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. Sir, I just wait for more participant to add, and later on we'll invite our guest of honor and guest
Okay.
for inauguration session, sir.
Okay, right,
Just
ma'am.
wait
No
for a
problem.
while, sir.
It's okay, no issue.
Sir, sir, you will share the PPT, na, sir?
Yeah, I will share from my end.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You can chant also.
Sir, Nagaraja sir, you called me, sir.
I received a call from you, Dr. Shivan. So I called.
Sir, actually, yeah. Sir, I just want to confirm that have you joined or not, sir? That's why I called you that time.
No, I'm here. Just until my turn
Yes,
come,
sir.
I will be in
So we are-
mute.
So nice of you, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, actually, there is some technical issues, I think, from the headquarters side.
Okay.
We are just waiting for our guest to join, sir.
No
He
issue.
is from the headquarters, sir, in Manipur, different states, sir. So that's why we're just waiting for him, sir.
No issue. No issue. It's not a problem.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. Right.
He's there. DI. You make him go off. Stop sharing.
P. Raja, Associated Nodal Officer, Organizing Secretary, Dr. Shivani Rupal, myself, and Coordinator, Dr. Nicole Lindo, Assistant Professor, and Co-Coordinator, Dr. Nancy Lego, Assistant Professor in College of Horticulture and Forestry. Our two technical assistants are also Dr. Nasera Begane and Ms. Monisha Melo. To start this inauguration program, we have with us chief guest of this inauguration, that Dr. S. Vasanta Singh, Director Instruction, CAU Himphal. We have with us guest of honor, Professor B. N. Hazarika, Dean and Nodal Officer, NAHIP. We have our Associated Professor and Associated Nodal Officer, Dr. P. Raja. So to start this inauguration function, of 4 days webinar on fundamental aspects of ethical issues and research practices, I request Dr. P. Raja to give a welcome address. Sir.
Most respected Director of Instruction, Dr. S. Basanta Singh, sir. Today's chief guest of 11th webinar inaugural program, and our respected nodal officer, Professor B.N. Hazarika, Dean, College of Horticulture and Forestry, and today's first inaugural speaker, Dr. Naga, professor from Malaysia, and distinguished participants from all over India and other participants from abroad. This is the first time we could see 4 students registered from abroad, and we also welcome the students. And from the interest of the speaker, I think they have all registered. One is from Mauritius, another from Kuala Lumpur, and another one is from Illinois and Malaysia. We welcome overseas student also. This one is our 11th webinar. We are continuing our webinar series to promote the entrepreneurship skills among the students and to develop the Indian nation to the higher level, because agriculture sector, it's a very important sector that is a backbone of India. So after graduation from horticulture, agriculture and forestry, this is a wonderful project to train and promote and motivate the students to go for the startup. So under our leadership of Dr. S. Basanta Singh, Director of Instruction, under his great dynamic leadership, all the 6 constituent colleges, we are having this IDP NAHEP project. Sir, thank you very much. In midst of all your busy schedule, you could join us and giving this address to the participant. Thank you so much, sir. And also our Dean, sir, helping us in all the aspects of this webinar, from all the aspects, even from registration, motivating the students and to participation in this one. And dear participant, make use of these opportunities and you can learn a lot of things from the speaker. You can interact. Most of them are foreign speakers and you can interact with them and you can learn a lot of things and you can interact. This is a platform which connecting the speakers from all over the world, even in India. So it's a great opportunity. I welcome once again all of you for this 11th webinar program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rajesh sir. Now I request our guest of honor, Professor B.N. Hazarika, Dean and Nodal Officer IDP, NAHEP, to say a few words to the participants. Sir. I request Hazarika sir, our Dean sir, to say a few words.
यहाँ से वो भी हो रहा है क्या? देखिए, is it audible? Okay. Direct action organizing team of the Horticulture and Forestry, esteemed resource person is today's long program. So first of all, I, on behalf of my own behalf, as well as on behalf of the Horticulture and Forestry, welcome all to
Making co-host.
Participant, there is some technical issues, so just wait for a while.
yeah.
I request, sir, please, sir.
It is audible.
Yes, sir, audible, sir. Sir, it is audible, sir.
So there is some. Okay, then there is a network problem in Pasighat. Sorry for interruptions. And I, on behalf of the College of Horticulture and Forestry, and on behalf of the NAHEP team, IDT NAHEP team, I do welcome our esteemed resource person of this today's program, as well as the today's long duration program. Particularly, I welcome Naga from Malaysia, and Dr. Amani from the Tunisia, as well as Dr. R. Balu.
To speak. सर आप फोन में भी बात कर सकते हैं सर, यहाँ में कनेक्ट करेंगे. Yes, sir. Connected, sir.
Okay. Okay, then due to some technical issues, I am connecting like this. So I welcome Dr. Naga from Malaysia, Dr. Amani from Tunisia, and Dr. Albalu is from Bangalore, and Dr. Ranjana from Scotland. So this is a very nice program on this fundamental aspect of ethical resource in research practices. So this is our 11th webinar program under this IDP NAHEP program. So I do welcome once again for everyone taking this keen interest on this very interesting topic. So I once again welcome you all for this 3-day program on the fundamental aspect of ethical resource in research practices. And our esteemed resource person will be deliberating the lectures from today onwards to the 24th September. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for this brief message to all the participants. Now to move forward, I request chief guest of today's gathering, Dr. S. Basanta Singh, sir, Director of Instruction, CAU Imphal, to address us, sir.
Good afternoon to everyone. Our very esteemed Dean, Dr. B.N. Hazarika, Nodal Officer of this project, Dr. Raja, Co-Nodal Officer, Dr. Shivani, Dr. Lingdo, all the faculty members of College of Horticulture and Forestry, Pasighat, and the very learned resource persons, Dr. Nagraja, I can see from here, from Malaysia, and other resource persons, and all the participants, students. On the very outset, I welcome all you in this NAHEP team, Central Agriculture University, Imphal. So as told by Dr. Raza, this is the 11th webinar under College of Horticulture and Forestry. And today's topic on these ethical issues in research practices is very important. I think this may be the first webinar in this topic regarding ethical issues in these universities. We have already conducted so many webinars on entrepreneurship and related skill development programs. So this is very important. You know, this ethical value, understanding ethical value is very important in today's era. When you wanted to become a very successful researcher, maybe a teacher, maybe any types of job, okay, maybe entrepreneur. So understanding this is ethical value is very important. Once you don't understand ethical values, you will never succeed in your life. So today's training programs on ethical issues, I think we have very learned resource persons from different parts of the globe. I think this is a great opportunity for the faculty members and students to understand and to learn about ethical issues and values. So certainly, I think you will learn many things from this webinar. And this is the only platform, I think, as told by Dr. Raja, because of COVID. In other sense, we are getting a lot of opportunities to connect with very renowned international these faculty members. Actually, we are supposed to do offline, and under offline, we have very limited scope. But because of this COVID, we have been provided another opportunity to connect with very famous international faculty members for our students particularly. You know, this IDP, Institutional Development Plan under National Agriculture Higher Education Project. This is a very great opportunity for the Central Agriculture Universities to learn about many aspects of life and value. Okay. So this is, as I told you many times, this is our university is the sixth, is the 18 among the 75 agriculture universities in the country. Getting opportunity to implement this project. So under this project, I told you so many times that we have national component, international component. So today's program is, although it is national level training programs, but in reality, it is international level training programs because we are getting all these things knowledge and input from all the international faculty members. So our students are more benefited because of this COVID. Although it is a national program, but it is international in nature. So under these national programs, we have to conduct at least one program in a week. So there will be 4 programs in a month. And in our universities also, we have 13 colleges. So out of these 13 colleges, only 6 colleges are benefited by this project. We are implementing only in these 6 colleges. And other than these national level training programs, we have international level training programs. We have to expose our students for 3 months to internationally reputed institutions or universities. So now because of this COVID, we are finding difficulty for the time being. But I hope after a few months, after becoming a little normal, I think our students can go to abroad and expose to internationally reputed institutions or universities for 3 months. So this we are also starting some online courses in collaboration with this Western Sydney University, Australia. We have already selected 65 students from these 6 colleges, and we are conducting through online courses on this entrepreneurship skills development. And this project, not only these training programs, we have also developing a lot of this infrastructure development. We are developing language laboratory, smart classrooms, incubation centers, so that our students are trained in entrepreneurship skills and other soft skills, so that once they pass out from this college or from these universities, they become very successful entrepreneurs. Not only these very mere entrepreneurs, but world-class entrepreneurs. Our aim is like that. And today's training program will add knowledge to our students and the faculty members. So with these few words, I congratulate Dr. Raza and his team, Dr. Hazarika and all, for conducting this type of very important webinar. And I also this express my heartfelt thanks to the learned these resource persons from airport for accepting our invitation and for delivering your valuable guidance and sharing knowledge to our faculty members and students. And not only our students, I was told that many students from other parts of the country also participating. So with this, I wish grand success in this 4 days webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable suggestions and brief description about this NAHE program. Moving further, I would like to introduce everyone our first resource person for today's webinar, Dr. Nagaraja Suryadevara. He is a faculty in Masha University, Malaysia. About the biography of our speaker, let me say a few words. He is an efficient professional with 14 years of teaching and research experience and proven knowledge of curriculum development for biotechnology programs, core designing, and education administration. Currently, he is a lecturer since 2014 till date in Masha University, Malaysia. He is a doctorate in biotechnology in 2014, Bharatiya University, Coimbatore, India. In his award list, he got Best Biotechnologist Award 2020 from KLP Laboratory, Mathura, and he also got Fellow of Nature Science Foundation for his academic excellence in molecular biology on 11th January 2020. He got Junior's Best Scientist Award from Nature Science Foundation, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu in India for his academic excellence in medicines and biomedical sciences in 2019. He got Young Scientist Award from International Society of Green Sustainable Engineering and Management, Kolkata. He got Best Scientist Award in 2019 for Novel Research Academy, Pondicherry, India for inordinate extraordinary activities in research for the year 2019. In his publications, he has 25 research publications in international and national journals with high impact factors, 3 books and 6 books chapters on medicinal plants and their therapeutic importance. He has worked as a key member in NAC Accreditation Committee of Vivekananda College of Arts and Science for Women from 2007 to 2010. In his research achievements, he has sequenced 9 DNA sequences published in National Center for Biotechnology Information, NCBI, USA. He he's working as associate editor in International Journal of Advances in Interdisciplinary Research, in international member at Asian PGPR Society, USA. He is editor in Scientific and Academic Publications, USA, and he is editorial board member in Universal Journal of Pharmaceutical Research, UGPR. He is also an editorial member of International Journal of Current Research in Science, Engineering and Technology. He is an active member in Malaysian Scientific Association, established in 1955. He is a panel member in Assessment Committee for Faculty of Science and Technology, Department of Biomedical and Forensic Science, Ruxing University, UK. He is a peer reviewer in Bioscience Biotechnology Research Asia, in African Journal of Environment Science and Technology, and in African Journal of Pharmacy and Pharmacology. I especially mentioned all the participants that he has been a keynote speaker and resource person in more than 30 various webinars till date, and he has been awarded in various times in such webinars as well as in workshops. He also acted as a resource person twice in international and national workshop. He has presented 20 papers in international and national seminars, workshop, and in different training courses. So on behalf of entire organizing committee of College of Horticulture and Central Agriculture University. I welcome you, sir, and I would like to request you now to say a few words to the gathering, and you can start your presentation, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Shivani, for the long briefing about me. Thank you so much. Before I would like to start this session, everyone, very good evening. Hopefully there, good afternoon for me, almost it's 6 o'clock. I thank to the chief patron and patrons, especially the Dean and Nodal Officer of IDP, Professor B.N. Hazarika sir, and patron Dr. S. Basant Singh, Director Instruction for the Central Agriculture University in Park. Then the co-chairman, Dr. P. Raja sir, organizing secretary, Dr. Shivani, who is contacted me today. Because of her, I'm able to contact you everyone through online. Thank you, ma'am. Not only the mentioned name, those who are missed, everyone, those who are backdrop of this conference going to be held today, going for another 3 days. I welcome you all to learn something about the research and its activities and the ethics. As Dr. Shivani just now mentioned, I'm the fellow who is mostly working on the biotechnology. I will try my level best to deliver to the gathering related to the ethics in biological science. Mainly, I focus on the biological science with a few of the cases. I'll deliver the content for today. Hopefully, Dr. Shivani able to see my screen, right? What I shared is visible for everyone, right?
Sir, it is visible, sir.
Okay, right. Thank you. Ethical issues and the challenges in the bioscience research. I'm not really such a big researcher, maybe just 10 to 14 years of research experience, but maybe I'm addressing the gather where maybe a few super seniors, those who have the more than 20 to 25 years of research experience. But today trend is entirely different. The ethics, how the ethics in the 10 years back, what the today's ethics in the research. Either it may be agriculture or the biotechnology or the bioscience or whatever the technology. But what the technology development leads to, whether we are following the ethics or we are just leaving the ethics and what is comfort for us, whether we are doing. We will go through one by one. Bioscience research, which covers a wide area of interest, which ranging from the artificial stem cells, laboratory animal handling to intervention studies in human. Apart from this, agriculture side, we heard a lot of the GMOs. I have some stories about the GMOs. What is the introduction of the BT cotton into the India? What is the today's scenario of the Monsanto company? What exactly going, where the farmers are cheated, or the companies are cheating us, or the end users are getting affected? Everything I try to wrap up in a 1 hour plus time. Prior to the introduction of research ethics, there were no proper guidelines in the past. Earlier, just the people, whatever you choose, just you can be proceed to do the research. But now, every institution have its own academic committees. In that academic committees where we have the research teams, the teams have our research ethical committees. Whatever the research you want to do, either it may be on the plants or it may be in the environment, it may be in the animal system, we need to get the approval before we are proceeding to the process of this research. There was no way of gauging the limit of a moralistic and righteous research. Here, actually, what is the research? It is defined as an undertaking intended to extend knowledge through a disciplined inquiry of systematic investigation. There is a lot of researchers here. What exactly you are doing, whether you are doing the same thing what your super seniors did, or you are doing something good or something novel. Everywhere, wherever the people are going for the vivas or everything, the examiner asks the one question, most common question, what is the novelty of your work? Then the people will be looking to, especially the candidate will be looking to the supervisor's face. But that is what the lacking in the research today. What is the where we are actually? What is the novelty we are doing? Whether it is really useful or the sake of doing. Okay, so we need to know about it. Determination that research is the intended purpose of undertaking is a key for differentiating the activities that require the ethical review by an ethical committee. Systematic methodological scientific approaches for the basic facts around a certain problem in order to find solutions based on these facts. What is the importance of the bioscience research? To advance the knowledge for the good of society. What the recombinant DNA technology? Recombinant DNA technology, where we are getting the plant biotechnology, new varieties of hybrid seeds. Ultimately, what is the aim? To advance the knowledge of the good of society, to improve the health of the people worldwide. What you are producing, the staple food we are producing, or the new trends we are following, how we are able to produce, everything will be coming to the account here, to find the better ways to treat and prevent the disease. Either it may be in the humans or it may be in the plants. Here, just one aspect of computer-aided program I mentioned here, where I'm working currently with one of my student who is working on it. The molecular docking study for the identification of COVID-19 main protease inhibitor from the natural polyphenols, where we have these natural polyphenols from the different type of the fruit varieties, how this drug will be bind and us the activity of the M-Pro protein, which is an active protein in the COVID-19. So it will be dock it, then the potential hits which maybe help us to inhibit the growth of that particular virus. Then challenges of the bioscience research: ensuring scientific research and the technological innovations are conducted in an ethically responsible manner, pertaining the ethical principles in the research, banning the animal experiment indicate an end to the new drug testing and using human beings for all safety tests, protecting the human subjects in the clinical trials, affordability, privacy of the participant, bioterrorism. The last one, maybe none of you maybe think about this in the December 2019, today COVID-19 situation in the world, especially India don't mind about it, because during that time India restricted Malaysian travels to not allowed to enter to the India, because that time Malaysia got the 100 plus 200 300 per day. But unfortunately, where the spread of the COVID today, we all of us know 70,000 80,000 90,000 of cases per day in our country. So we feel very bad where the spread of that virus is going. But there is still there is a controversies are there. Either it may be a bioterrorism or it may be a bioweapon, where exactly the research, whether it is going in a right path or the wrong way, whether there is some aspects are going on, it may be from the viral lab from somewhere in the country where it is originated, or maybe from the Wuhan city it is. We don't know exactly what it is behind, but world is suffering, you are suffering, I am suffering, everyone is suffering because of this. But only the good thing is, because of this COVID, now a lot of people are seeing through online and learning the things through online. Only the very few, but rest of the things all are, which is really we are facing problematic. What makes a good research? Good science will help us to problem selection, smart objective of work, proper methodology, proper analysis. This is the ethics. When it comes to the good ethics, informed consent, whatever the research you are doing with your farmers, where you are going to plant a new varieties or you are doing with a genetically modified plant, somehow we are supposed to be informed to that particular farmer. Or if we are doing a research where I am getting a data, your personal data, there should be have the consent information to that particular end user or the particular person where we are doing. Fair subject selection, independent review, favorable risk benefit ratio we need to be doing. When it comes to the ethics, the term of a system of moral principles. Who will teach the moral principles? By birth, whether we know it, or in the nature where you are doing the job or where you are doing the research, we will be learning. I can say exactly It's based on the research culture of the environment where you are working. The branch of philosophy which is dealing with values relating to the human conduct with respect to the rightness and wrongness of certain actions. Who will decide the right and wrong? Some things which might be looks for me right, but for you it may be wrong. For me it's wrong, but for you it may be right. But that's why we have a research committees who have the ethical committees to decide either it is they have a standard following things to follow, whether it is a right or wrong to be decided, to the goodness and badness of the motives and end of such actions. This is the ethics. Maybe my supervisor convey the thing, yes, you have to do it means I have to do, but the same time we have a chances to know whether it is a bad or good, what we are doing, in what way we are publishing our data. Yes, simply publish anything, it is nothing matter, because some people are there to publish per month. Per month there may be a 3 to 4 publication, per annum there may be 30 to 40 publications. They may be have some goals to do, but when it comes to the research, what exactly you are doing, what you are publishing, what it is the output, whether we are publishing the data, or the really your data is helpful to the rural community, because our nation is our country is completely based upon our rural economy, whether our inputs of whatever we are invested in our research, whether it will be give the fruits to the farmers who are not able to give the high inputs into their agriculture production, it we need to be looking at. In applied and professional ethics, it is defined as the rules that govern the conduct of a profession. If you go and ask a doctor, I am looking fine, can you give me the medical leave for 1 week? Whether the doctor will give you that medical leave? If he doing, then professionally he is not good. In the same way, we as either he may be an agriculture scientist or maybe a biomedical scientist, whatever you are doing, we have to follow certain ethics. Maybe I am in a teaching profession here and doing the research. Maybe my student, those who are not able to pass, simply I put pass marks and pass them. What the fate of the nation, whatever the nation he belongs or she belongs, what happens to the countries? Because we need to, our ultimate aim as a teacher, I need to produce the graduates who have the quality education, who are come out with the ethical values and moral values, then only they will be becoming a good to the society, good to their family. It differentiates the characteristic of conduct governed by the moral principles. This is called the everywhere. It is not only in the research. Moral principles, what we are inculcated at the home, that will be moved forward to the school, to the university level, to the workplace. So the moral level of going from there, and those by generally accepted normative stands, integrity or the probity are not well declined in many professional situations. There are two aspects to be taken account in this respects. Research ethics, specific ethical issues affect the work of bioscience research related. What is the ethics? Either it may be a ethical or the legal. A set of ethics that govern how the scientific and other research is performed at the research institution. Each research institution might be have their own platforms, or they have their own research committees. They need to be decide what to do. Ethics is a philosophical consideration of moral right or wrong. It is a process of thinking of morals or behavior and intention. These ethics are evolved out of a collective responsibility to humanity. In the biomedical ethics was coined in the early 1970s to refer to the application of moral reasoning to vexing questions at the frontiers of biology and medicine. What is the importance of ethics in research? Promote the objective of the research. Sometimes when I ask the researchers when we go for the viva, what is the objective of your work? Some of them not able to know what is actually the objective of their work. Supplies values essential for the collaborative works. Research can be trusted by the public. Then gain the support from the public for the research, support the moral and social values. That is about the Importance of ethics in research. Now we move on. Why ethics in bioscience research is crucial? Because promotes the aim of the research, promotes the values that are essential for the collaborative work, ensure that researchers can be held accountable to the public, help to build public support for research, promote the moral and social values. Here, every one of you might be know about it. The Tuskegee syphilis study in the 1932 to the 1972. A study in the Tuskegee, Alabama conducted on 399 latent syphilis patients and 201 control to understand the progression of syphilis among the Black community. But unfortunately, what happened? This plan is to do the research on them for the 6 months of time. But unfortunately, it was extended for the 40 years. So during that time, their medical, food, accommodation, everything to be supposed to be sponsored by the research team, Alabama team who conducted it. But unfortunately, during that 40 years of time, there is a lot of deaths happen. So the research consent, what the consent form they given to them, what really did is not really proper way. So it is one of the unethical issue which is in the Tuskegee syphilis study. This is about our study in India. HPV, which is ground to a halt because the media reports emerged of the death of 7 girls enrolled in the trials, which is done in India in March 2010. The inquiry committee concluded that the deaths were not caused by the vaccine, but it remarked on the non-adherence to ethical standards by the trial organizers during the study. Specifically, the committee pointed out the failure to obtain proper informed consent. The proper informed consent not given to the subjects where they use provided explanation for the role of usefulness of HPV vaccination. Every one of you know what is actually the HPV vaccination, where it will be protect from the cervical cancers, human papilloma virus, especially the women who are at the age of 35 plus need to be go a frequent checkup for this cervical cancer, and the inability of this principal investigator to monitor the adverse effects during the study. So this is what happened in India, where the HPV situation went wrong. Okay, but the committee who are recruited for this, they concluded that the deaths were not caused by the vaccine. Then research ethics, honesty, objectivity, morality, prudence, openness, animal care, confidentiality, responsible publication, responsible management, social responsibility, respect for the intellectual property, anti-discrimination, legitimacy, security of people involved in the scientific research, professional competence and discipline. Please take note about this slide where I mention as much possible I look into this ethics with the help of my students, and we come up with this content where you can see here the each and every aspect. Please feel free into you how much I am honest in my research, what is the objective of my research, what I am really publishing, how confidentially I am maintaining the data. Because maybe you are working in the plant research, there also you need to be maintain some confidentiality. When you are working in the animal science also you need to maintain the confidentiality. We are not supposed to discriminate anything. Okay, anti-discriminations. Okay, these are the main research ethics for individuals. These are the principles as a researchers: integrity, competence, non-malfeasance and beneficence, autonomy, honesty and responsibility. Just now what I mentioned might be repeated here. The justice for the participants, dignity for the participants, then the privacy and confidentiality of the results of the participants we need. Here is the research committees that secure the protection of the rights, safety, and well-being of human subjects involved in clinical trials. What is the role of this committee? They ensure the rights of research participants are protected, obligation to the society, obligation to the researchers. When it comes to the ethical board in Malaysia, medical review and ethical committee MREC, that comes under the National Committee for the Clinical Research, NCCR, Ministry of Health Malaysia monitor it. When it comes to India, what about the national guidelines? Here I mentioned from the site of National Ethical Committees. National guidelines for the ethical committees reviewing biomedical and health research during the COVID-19 pandemic. If you are doing a research on the COVID-19 pandemic, what is the submission and what is the responsibility of the person who need to do everything around the 20 pages of data they printed recently in the April 2020 and released. Okay, this is from the ICMR. Then ethics in the animal experimentation, mainly we need to use the 3R, ethical guidelines for the animal experiment, proper animal housing and management, use of appropriate euthanasia method, then minimize the duration of the experiment, and lot to do. Proposal should be submitted to the Institutional Animal Care and Use Committee, IACUC norms, to check that the procedure complies with the guiding principle. We need to do the triple R. The same thing might be we apply to all the aspects, replace the animal studies with other methods, reduce as many trials as required, as few as possible, refine the minimal stress of study animals. Now we look into the agriculture research. What are the ethical issues in the agriculture research? Sustainability. What is actually the sustainability? Nowadays, everywhere we are hearing this term. Sustainability, sustainable agriculture, community managed sustainability. What really the sustainability? Where the reality of the sustainability is there? Actually, the sustainability, what we are maintaining, what we are conveying that when we are bringing a new technology to the farmer need to be maintained it for the longevity. You no need to give the each time input subsidy to the farmer. They have to sustain themselves, their own seeds, own pesticides production, own fertilizer, bios, which may be the maybe a Subhash Palekar model or maybe a community managed sustainable agriculture, MKSP, whatever it is. Okay, but here really sustainability, what the research we are doing is only to the lab, whether it is applicable to the outside the lab, because I have a data. It shows when I use my plant growth promoting rhizobacteria, the turmeric given a good yield of the curcumin. But what about in come to the large scale or when it come to the field trials where we are lacking? So these all comes under the ethical issues where the sustainability belongs to. Ecosystem health, what you are thinking about the environment, what is your responsiveness, accountability, what I am doing today in my lab, maybe it is such a wonderful ICMR lab or whatever the lab you are working, what is the responsiveness, what is the accountability I am giving, then the capacity building, whether I do this research and finish my work and go shut down all the instrument and go, or we are going to develop the capacity building. Then the location specificity, whether this product which I am producing only grow in the north, whether it will be go throughout the globe. Asymmetry in the rights of and responsibility toward the acknowledge the holder, empowerment of informal innovators and knowledge holders. There will be a lot of knowledge theft go around the globe. What the real knowledge holder or innovators, their name won't be come out, all the patents will be going the wrong way. So we need to be very careful about the agriculture research, what exactly going around. Here, the effect on the environment, how your products are affect. Just example I mentioned here, the pesticides are banned in some countries, still used in our countries. Green apples are much toxic, but still we are using in the sense we are eating. Okay, then what is the reason for the cancer train in Punjab? How about the mother breast milk have a endosulfan residues in the breast milk of mother? as I know, the mother's breast milk is the purest in this universe. But unfortunately, even the mother's breast milk from not only Kerala, nowadays you can see everywhere in the globe, now the breast milk containing the pesticidal residues, where it is from. Okay, here just I want to talk about the Kasargod, which is the part of Kerala where they have a cashew nut plantation. The cashew nut supply throughout our nation, also to the world, there is a supply from the Kasargod from Kerala. What happened there? Endosulfan, which is sprayed by using, how? They use by helicopters to spray the endosulfan. Just imagine it. Such a big plantation area where the people cannot be easily go to do the spraying and all also. They use the helicopter to spray it. At the end, the state government come to a endosulfan victim scheme where the state government itself announced that. So here in the Kasargod, a 9-year-old girl, Jumaila, a victim of the endosulfan, died on the Monday after years of treatment. Not only 1-2 cases, there is a plenty of the cases. The youngest Dr. of N. Muhammad, a resident of Bevincha, Changala, the area, the village, had been on the artificial respiration for the last few days. The family was living at the Muliar near the Plantation Corporation estate where the spraying of endosulfan was held when she was born. She began to show the symptom of endosulfan poisoning when she was 6 months old. Her bones lost their strength and growth became stunted. Her father, an agriculture laborer, was finding it very difficult to find funds for her treatment. The neighbors of the family said Jumalia did not get the benefit from the relief fund announced by the state government of Kerala for the endosulfan victim. So this is the sad story about the endosulfan. Where is the ethics? What this plantation corporation doing? Whether it is a government project or a private project, what is the relief they actually to do to the families who are the village which is near to that, whether they need to be evacuate that people before they start this project. There is a lot of ethical issues are there because all the young and energetic scientists who are going to be work for the further, some maybe knowingly or unknowingly, or maybe now there is a no chances, we cannot say no chances, but people are used to practice lot of chemical pesticides. What is the ultimate aim of the use of chemical pesticide? To give more yield. But what exactly you are giving more yield? That more yield leads to what? Where we are producing a more yielded product, that product consumed by the lot more people, that people all getting this, either it may be endosulfan or monocrotophos, whatever it is, glyphosate, whatever it is we are using, all this goes to whom? To the human being. So this is about the moral values and the ethics. This is about the Sainaba, where her overgrowth of head, which caused for her death. Then this is the cry for this boy's life. He would like to walk, but Udaya, who is the eldest son of the Sundaraya Shetty and the Sailaja living in the Vinny Nagar, which is who is suffering from cerebral palsy. Then the Krishna Shetty, who is 24 years old, cannot walk and has to be physically lifted and carried by his parent. He is one among many victims. This is about the few mothers' stories. How can I deny you my son? Because they are born to them, right? They have to take care, either they are the physically challenged or not. There is a lot of cases. This is about the school. They are mentally retarded, where they are not allowed to go to school. This is another story. Okay. Then next, I would like to play a small video, which is about every one of you know the cancer train from our country, especially every one of you aware about the Punjab cancer train. What is the reason behind that Punjab cancer train? Okay, just I'm going to play, hopefully. I'm going to share again from the Dr. Shivani able to see my video, right? And the voice also?
Sir, we can see only the video only, sir. It's not audible, sir.
Increase the volume.
You can increase the volume, sir.
And also your signal strength is poor. Your signal strength is poor, red color. That's why in the streaming it takes time.
Just a minute, sir. Now it's okay, sir.
The Abohar-Jodhpur Express, a train that patients climb onto from Batinda to disembark at Bikaner for much cheaper treatment. No AC coach, only sleeper class, first come, first serve. But as the clock approaches 9:30 p.m., those familiar with the train knew how to find a berth first.
जो ठंडा पानी पींदे सी ना वो वापस आंदा सी वापस तो उस तो बाद सानू जो टेस्ट होया सानू उस तो बाद पता लग गया फिर ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਇਲਾਜ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਵਾਇਆ
पर फर्स्ट स्टेज कैंसर से
हाँ जी
फिर बोतला लग गया बोतला ना
कीमोथेरेपी लगी
हाँ कीमो लगी
कीमो लगी
जीका नहर ਅਸੀਂ ਘੱਟੋ ਘੱਟ 15 16 ਵਾਰੀ ਜਾ ਆਏ
एक साल
ਇੱਕ ਸਾਲ ਚ ਜੀ 20 ਦਿਨਾਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਜੀ ਹਰ 20 ਦਿਨਾਂ ਬਾਅਦ
Randhir Singh travels to buy chemotherapy medicine for his wife and friend, both cancer patients.
बीकानेर जा रहा जी हॉस्पिटल में
क्यों
कैंसर है
किसको
मिसिज को 6 साल के करीब
6 साल से आप
हाँ जी
और 6 साल से आप बीकानेर जा
हाँ
रहे
रूटीन जा रहा जी
हैं
We spoke to agricultural expert Dr. S.S. Chehel about what causes this.
Food chain. Malwa, region of Punjab, it is lot of chemicals are being used for control of pesticide and insecticides are used. And these are used by farmers in indiscriminate way.
Of the 15 pesticides used, at least 7 are considered likely or probable causes of cancer by the US Environment Protection Agency because it affects the water we drink in the area.
आपको लगा कि जो दवाइयाँ खेतों में लगती हैं
हाँ जी
उसकी वजह से हो सकता है
हो सकता जी जो मतलब जिम्मेदार मतलब गेहूं बदाउन के मारे 5-5 6-6 गट्टे पा देते हैं वो पूरा जहर बन जाता है
With the elections around the corner, is this a priority for political parties? The AAP announced the provision of life imprisonment for those who make and sell spurious pesticides and healthcare funds up to 5 lakh for all farmers. The Congress says it will get free regular soil health testing and education of farmers. The Akali is directly talking cancer, promising an advanced cancer institute in Batinda and a cancer hospital in Chandigarh, besides free treatment to all farmers. It took us just a few minutes to find those who have either directly or indirectly been affected by the deadly disease of cancer. But the train that's often been called the cancer train is now being associated with drugs too.
ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਨਸ਼ੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਛੱਡਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਡਰਾਈਵਰੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਨਸ਼ੇ ਲੱਗ ਗਏ ਕਰਨ
On the cancer train in Punjab, Amitot Singh for NDTV.
So get this.
Okay, I'm back. Back to the session again. Hopefully, everyone go through the video. As I mentioned just now, or you saw through that what exactly happened in the case of Punjab, where the high usage of pesticides. Actually, we are not mentioning anyone wrong here, because I came from the agriculture family where I have the few acres of land in the cultivation. The farmers, they have some knowledge in the farming, but there is no lack of interaction with the agriculture scientists or the agriculture officers to interact with them. The next neighbor farmer, what the pesticide he use, the same bottle they bring to the shop, and they ask the seller who is selling the pesticide from the shop, they want the more powerful than the one which his neighbor is used. This is the common practice going throughout the our country, where the farmers are not much educated about what is the dosage need to be do. So in this aspect, what happened unfortunately to the Punjab, here this is the statistics shows what are the patients from the various districts. Entire India, the Punjab have the lot of cancer cases. So the population based cancer registries, which was released at that PGIMER on that particular day, it's almost the 4 years back data where I have the information about this much population from the Mohali, Sangrur, Mansa, various parts. And another side is 2012 till the November 2015, where the worst affected perception, different districts and the cancer patients. Here, just we might be talk for a while about what is the ethics, to whom we need to blame, whether the researcher problem, or the company problem, or the seller problem, or the end user problem, whom we need to blame. Ultimately, the farmer is losing their lives. There is no doubt at all. But we called it as the green revolution. We cannot blame the inventor for the green revolution, because that day, what is the usage of the high percentage of the urea to give the more yield, based on the requirement that day it is need to be do. But still we cannot go into that same way, because we know what is the negative impact of highly usage of the chemical fertilizer and the pesticide. When you came to know a mother breast milk got the pesticidal and fertilizers residue, then what we are thinking about? We need to be changed. We need to be accommodate. We need to be sustain ourselves. We cannot blame anyone. So here, this is the ethical values need to be follow as an individual. This is very recently in the 2019, a letter to the editor given by the Kia Acharya. The agriculture, genetically modified organisms are the GMOs, and the ethics. Just as I mentioned just now, successive Indian government have considered and continue to view the GM crops as the next savior, following the green revolution of the 1960. So to feed the country, increasing population, we already huge 1.38 billion. Scientists at Indian Agriculture Research Centers point to countries shrinking land and water resources. Of course, the land is going to be shrinking. The water resources are very limited, but the Nestle company, Coca-Cola company will come and buy our water, but the farmers are not able to do for the farming. Here, the researchers from the agriculture universities from various parts of our country working the degrading quality of its soils together with the high input costs that have stagnant production consideration this new technology necessary to maintain the India's food security. But the GMOs in agriculture introduced in the 2000 through the BT cotton. Now, if we are telling about the BT cotton, it's already outdated. Remain highly controversial with NGO-led protests and lawsuits that have stalled the introduction of GM food crops such as the brinjal and mustard for years now. But very recently the bill passed, everything going smoothly only. But citing the environmental, health, inadequate regularity monitoring of the corporate monopolies over the seeds that geo-paradise India's majority small farmers as a significant reason for concern. Every one of you know about the BTs. Now the BT cotton not really a success because the Bacillus thuringiensis, which is used for this bollworm, the midgut epithelial region by the cry protein. Now it is a resist against that cry protein. Even you have a BT cotton which have this Bacillus thuringiensis producing the cry crystalline protein. That protein nothing do the epithelial midgut cell spoilage to that bollworms. They are very happy now because they are resist against it. But Monsanto company made a big money from India, so we called it as a monopolies. In the same way, brinjals and okra, the bendi, then the just now I mentioned like the mustards which are already entered into the market. Meanwhile, the inadequate administrative monitoring of the sector, together with several governments and legal moratoria on the use of GM crops, have certainly aided BT seeds companies to quietly spread the use of BT seeds. Activists are fear that multinationals are taking advantage of lax monitoring to push their own sales, such as in Monsanto BT cotton, HT to be used together with Monsanto herbicide C. The Roundup ready containing glyphosate, a proven toxin already banned in certain South Asian countries. Not only that BT is introduced into our market, in the same time, it is already coming with a Roundup which containing the glyphosate. Or the Bayer's patent over the DMH1, which is a mustard engineered for use of Bayer herbicide Basta, containing the glufosinate, another known toxin. All toxins are no more used in the other part of the countries, other part of the world, only able to sell it in our country because the regulatory systems which are weakened or the loopholes or the under the bench, whatever the reasons might be. But the monopolies are successive, normal and the marginal and the small farmers are get affected. Now look into the 7 biggest ethical issues facing in the agriculture industry. Safety of the food, just now I mentioned. This is the probably the one the general public know the most about. What is the safety of the food? Now people looking into the organic food, naturally farming food, okay. But what about the normally cultivated food? Why we are using the lot of pesticides or fertilizers, whatever you are using, or the gene alterations, what it brings to us. Then the treatment of animals. Next is the unethical treatment of animals in the research where we are using for the agriculture industry also. Then use of chemicals, use of pesticide and other chemical have been an ongoing debate because we are using the fertilizers and the pesticides for what purpose? We want to produce high yielding, but unfortunately you are providing your plate full of poison. Maybe you might be have a chance to look into the Dr. Ramanjaneyulu agriculture scientist video. Let you know about your plate. Your plate is full of pesticides. Okay, just have he had a good talk in the TEDx Hyderabad where he have a good interaction. Then the farm management. Farm management involves the unethical treatment of farm workers and the overall management of the farm itself. Then as mentioned just now, the sustainability, trade agreement, what exactly the farmers are getting as you are giving a innovative technology, but at the end by the technology, the ethics issues are all too common when it comes to the trade agreement in the agriculture industry. Bribes to sell more or to ensure the business pick one farm over another do happen. Many trade rules are questionable and push out the smaller business that maybe actually have more to offer, mainly the mediators. Actually, as a agriculture family background, I aware about it, where I able to sell my vegetables to the mandi when I go to the market, where I sell 5 rupees or the 10 rupees per kilo. But when it come to the market, it is a 40 rupees, 50 rupees. The middleman simply sitting in the area where they were controlling your produce until the farmer decide the rate, how a doctor, how a actor, they fix their remuneration. In the same way, when our agriculturists or especially the farmers who are the backbone of our country, if they fix their profits, then only the nation will be in a nice way. Then the sharing of information, this is not happens anymore because there is a lot of ethics. The farmers, we have a lack of understanding to give what exactly happened in my farm. They're not ready to reveal with you how many bags of urea you applied. They don't reveal with you how many bags of the NPK they use. They're not ready to share. Everywhere they tell I use very less, but the crop will be good because they use outside. They tell the 3 bags of the this complex ureas they use, but they use the 4 to 5 bags per acre. Okay, so there is a lot of issues to be look into it. Next, about the market ethics, do farmers get a proper market to sell their produce in a proper rate? This is a big ethical problem farmers are not getting. Do farmers get the proper rate of return? Also no. Is there any middleman exploit the most benefit out of farming? Yes, there is. Is farmer face the hurdles in the getting input? There is a chances. Is there any exploitation by the others? Also there is a chances. What is the farmer's right? Maybe as a agriculture scientist, it's your responsibility to educate the farmer in this aspect. Is farmers' indigenous knowledge is safe, prone to the exploitation? There is a problem again, IPR issue. What about the intellectual property right of your farming? Does our science value their traditional knowledge which has scientific significance? Yeah, we have to give the value to the farmers who are the grandparents. When you go to the site or the maybe the farming industry, where you can see the people, how exactly they have a technology, maybe the seed treatment or maybe the seed sowing or maybe the particular days of replantation or the sampling, everything. We need to get some knowledge from them. Is there any policy to promote the farmers' innovation? There is a lot of innovations might be which is not come out. So these are the rights of a farmer. Okay, just let me take a short break for 3 minutes. Then I will back to the session. Is it okay, Dr. Shivani, if I take a short break?
Sir?
Just a 3-minute short break. Just my throat getting dry. I need to have some water and just.
No problem, sir. Sir, please, sir.
Okay, right. Thank you.
I'll interact with the participant by the time, sir. participants, we have take as a need some time to get refresh for another half an hour session still for discussion. So I request all the participants who are here to please post your queries in the chat box so that after the end of this session, we'll have a discussion with the speaker also. I have only 2 queries till now in the chat box. So I request all the participants to put their queries. Whatever you want to ask in your respective fields regarding ethical issues, in your respective research areas, you can post. So this is a very good opportunity for you all to interact directly with the speakers. Another thing, there is a, at the end of this session, we are going to give you a link for feedback link. And this feedback link is not just about having the information about your views on this session, but it's an automatic marking of attendance also, because attending all the sessions is very important. You the certificates after the quiz. So I request all the participants, those who are unable to join today also, that please join each and every session, which is equally important for understanding these fundamental aspects of ethical issues. And I hope that this will improve your concept regarding ethics and do's and don'ts in the research areas of your field. And secondly, in the last day, we'll conduct the quiz on the same day. There will be no separate session for quiz. If you have any queries, you can ask before that day also. You can post your queries later also in the email of the speakers if you're not able to ask questions right now. But I request you, this is the opportunity to each and every participant to directly interact with our speaker. He has tremendous experience in his research areas in terms of ethical issues and fundamental aspects. He's a man of biotechnology, but he has a great experience touching each and every area of biological sciences regarding these ethical issues. So I request you, all of you, to be a part of this entire webinar for coming days also, and please interact with our speaker at the end of this session with every aspect. You can ask anything to our speaker, and I hope that sir will able to set experience and answers. So I hope, sir, you're ready now for the next.
Just I had
session,
my
sir.
water break.
So,
thank you, dear all
I'm very thankful, sir, that you're. Please, sir. Please.
Thank you, dear participants, for your patience.
Thank you, sir.
Stay connected and stay tuned. As Dr. Shivani, Associate Professor, asked me to concentrate for the few of the participants, majority of the participants from the agriculture and horticulture and forestry. So I last minute, maybe I can say it is around 1.5 hours before, I changed a lot of slides because master copy I already shared with Dr. Shivani. Later I did a lot of changes related to the aspects of research in the agri-science. But later on, most of the slides might be, as I seen, there is a one participant asked me about ethical issues in the animal science. Now most of the slides will be covered on the ethical issues on the animal research. Okay. Now we have another half an hour time to be delivered. Ethics issues and the challenges in the bioscience research. This is the most important thing we need to be discussed here. Fabrication. It is not really a agriculture scientist. It is not to be a biomedical scientist or the biotechnologist. Any researcher, just you touch your heart and look into the each one of the point, which are the 5 points I am mentioning here. Whether we are good, whether we are true researcher, or we are the fabricating, or we are producing the falsification. Sorry if I am hurt any one of you. But this is the fact, including me, what we are doing, where we are running, okay, towards the research, in the name of research, where we are moving forward, whether it is a good sign or bad sign. If still today we are maybe in the bad, try to become the good, because fabrication, exactly what happens in the research when we are doing on the paper, where the research really there is a differences are there. Reporting of de novo data, there will be a fabrications, there will be a falsification. What the fabrications and the falsifications go here, you are going to be report the wrong data and you are going to give the manipulated data. Then the duplicate publication, I can say there is a few people use the different names of the plants when it comes to the publication part, especially the phytochemical studies, because there is no much evidence from which plant you got this, the particle A or the component B. So whatever the particles, the simply name change the particular thing, which is the duplicate publication. The publication of the same material more than once by the publisher. It's also going there, which is unethical action by the researcher. Then the abuse of the peer review process. Maybe I also get sometime calls. Sir, you are a chief editorial member, right? Can you ask the particular editorial team? Because I already received a mail about that editorial board will send you an email that this paper is under review, please go through the processing. Then sir, you are the one as a peer reviewer, right? Editorial board member can help us to publish. These are called abuse of the peer review. Because if your data is perfect, why should we worry about? Maybe it take the time of 3 months, maybe it take the 3 times of revision. But nowadays, how it goes, people want to get the paper in the 20 days, people want to get it in the 30 days. Maybe I am going for my PhD viva, before 2 months of my viva, before submission of my synapses. So these all make everyone to be forcible to enter into the publication part. Then what about the plagiarism? The plagiarism, what it comes, use of other authors' published data or unpublished ideas as your work. Then when we are publishing, there is a possibility unethical actions by the researchers which is going around. But it is a true thing, whether you accept it or not, we need to be accepted, because this is the things. What actually factors that may influence these unethical practices? One thing is ignorance. Maybe sometimes you may be well educated, but unfortunately today technology development there, right? You cannot ignore it. We have to be very cautious about it. Then continuous pressure to publish. Now throughout the globe, publications are very important, including me. I supposed to produce the 3 impact factored journals per annum, or maybe the two minimum need to be published. But once you started it, you have a taste of publication, because I proudly tell that before 2015 my publications are 1 or 2, where I 4 or 5 years of time where I able to reach the 25 plus 30 papers. It is all happened because once you taste, then you will be keep on going. So this is the continuous pressure to publish. Where the pressure is from? It is from the management where you are working. You maybe want to go for the career competition. Yes, my next who joined the junior, he published the 12 papers. He got the associate professorship from the assistant professor. Then he maybe become the professor, very short span. So it may be inculcated in you by yourself, or maybe the people who are working around you, or maybe you are working in a private institutions. There may be a pressure, you must publish. Otherwise, there is a term, right? Whether you publish or perish. So something need to be done. Some areas, some private universities provide the financial incentives for the particular sources. In India also there is some institutions, if you publish your paper, where they may give you the 5,000 rupees one-time reward. Here I know some of the institutions give the 10,000 rupees in Indian currency once you publish the data. So that incentives, if I publish the 10 papers, maybe I got the 1 lakh rupee. So people will be run on that. Maybe it is the reason. But when we are starting in this running, sometime you may be ignored. Where I am linking is the factors that may be influence these unethical practices. Then overzealous ambition. Maybe earlier I published the 5 papers per annum. There is no competitor. Now there is a competitor who maybe published the 15 papers per annum. I want to publish at least the 10 papers. So this is the overjealous about the people who are there, and it makes it as a ambition. So these are the factors might be influences for the unethical practices. Then here is the unethical work on the human studies, the journal BMJ Open. The compliance with ethical standards in the reporting of donor sources and ethics review in the peer review publication involving organ transplantation in China, which is the review done. Here what happened, the Roger et al. Found that transplant research community in China has failed to execute the ethical standards as the organs were harvested from executed prisoners. What happened? They got it from prisoners. It was reported that out of 445 studies that involved 85,477 transplants, 412 failed to report whether the origin of the harvest organ from executed prisoners. 439 studied failed to report that organ sources gave any consent for transplantation. So misuse. So this is also one type of unethical work on the human being. Here the use of control arms, standard of care, informed the consent process, community consultations, individual and community access to research, the role and responsibility of ethical committees, compensation for the trial injury, patient or participant confidentiality and privacy, data protection, and the data ownership. This is about the general bioscience. If you are from the agri, just you look into the various where you can be convert them into. Then here there is no favoritism, then the falsifications, alteration of data cannot, plagiarism, we cannot do any plagiarism, then the respect for the human dignity in any aspect. We cannot say, even I collect just a skin swab, just I collect the swab from the skin, I need to get the consent form. What exactly I am doing the research on? What is the skin microflora if I am studying? I need to inform to the donor or the people who are the subject we are using. Okay, then the non-malfeasance and the utility and the justice. Use of human biological material for research, the onset of human life, use of animal models in research, genetic engineering, biological weapon, stem cell research, and the gene transfer. These are the ethical issues here. Area of dishonesty in the ethical issues. Dishonesty. Must try to be a honest person, especially in the research, because whatever the data you are malpractice or you maybe do the some ding dongs, whatever the changes you do, falsification, fabrication and all, we publish the data. Then whom we are cheating? You are cheating yourself. Then people will be cite you. When they are citing the wrong data, but they don't know, right? Once it is published by the peer-reviewed journals, everyone believes that it is the accurate data. What the methodology you followed, you explained there, that methodology might be followed by some other party who maybe refer it. So non-publication of data, faulty data gatherings, misleading the authorship, and the data manipulations, poor data storage and retention. These all also the dishonesty. Objectivity, honesty, integrity, openness, confidentiality, non-discrimination, as I mentioned earlier, the same slide, but the time now, because I mentioned about what really happened during that time, we need to be maintain these all. What are the rights in the research? If you are doing a research, I am the subject in your research, you need to tell me why the research study is being done. What will happen during this research study? Whatever the consent form we are giving, in that consent form we need to provide whether any study procedures, drugs or devices are different from the standard medical care. The risk, if it is, what are the risks? What are the side effects? What about the discomforts from taking part in the study? The possible benefits of taking part in the study, other treatment choices and other risk and beneficiaries. Sorry, the benefits. Medical treatment in case of complications. When I was working for my master's research in one private, it's a government subsidized organization. There will be go lot of things you cannot believe. The tribes from the remote area, they will become there as a volunteers. They work there. They exactly work in the clinical pharmacology department. So what happened in that hospital when we look into that? The patients were given the new drugs, which is going to be under the drug trial, which is not known anywhere outside of the world, which has happened in the access card. Because I was the researcher there, during the time I was there, when I came to know that it is a big mafia actually. In the same way, either it may be a biomedical or either maybe it's in the agriculture, everywhere there is a possibility we may be cheat the farmer or we may be cheat the patient. In what aspect? You are hiding the reality, what exactly why you are doing it. If you tell that you are checking for the vaccine for the COVID-19, how many of the people will be come forward? Because it is not the approved vaccine, it is in the trials. We all of us know what is the vaccine, right? So there may be some fearness. So if you tell them you pay them 3,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees for one day. Now I am telling the story about the 2005 and 6, where the people in the observation for the 2 days, which is complete 48 hours, they paid 3,000 rupees. So the people who are from the tribal area where their daily labor, they get the 30 to 50 rupees at the time, where you are providing them the 3,000 rupees. So it is equivalent to their income for 3 months of time. So the money which they are getting, if you provide US dollar 50,000, maybe I can take a risk that particular patient. But what they're paying is just normally at that time it is really big money, 3,000 rupees they're using. But this all comes under malpractice, or we can say it as unethical, where they are using. These are the 3 general approaches to resolving the ethical issues. The universal moral code, which is the deontology. Ethical skepticism, which is the individual conscience. Then the utilitarianism, which is the cost versus the benefits. Maybe if you want to do some drug trials, what is the benefit? What is the cost? Everything need to be known. In general, the medical research documentation, it should include a statement that the study involves research, an explanation of the purpose of the research, not only in the medical, everywhere we can be mention it. Because when it comes to the medical, there is a big issue, but when it comes to the agriculture, there is an impact on the environment, there will be impact on the end user, but it's not directly impact on the farmer on that particular day. But throughout the nation, where the people are the end users, they may be get the problem. So the expected duration of the subject participation, a description of the procedures to be followed, identification of any procedures which are experimental, a description of any reasonably forcible risk or discomforts to the subject, a disclosure of appropriate alternative procedures or causes of treatment, if any, that might be advantageous to the subject. What about the major manifestation of research related misconduct? Replication crisis, crisis of peer review, increased number of retractions, copyright issues, predatory publishers. These are the problems currently. Here, questionable, the breaches of the scientific ethics, questionable research practice, misuse of research data, authorship related misconduct. Everyone might be faced this when you were studying, or maybe when you were a junior, or when you are a fellow, don't raise the voice. There is always the authorship related misconduct. The people will be say, yeah, I will help you in the during the submission and all, the corresponding author, they will steal it. Then next, the first authorship will be gone because you don't know anything to be submit to the particular where we called the submission to the journals, the authorship related misconduct will be there. Mostly when it comes to the student part, actually, according to me, students are supposed to be the first, but sometimes what the teachers will claim that, the professors will claim that they are the one who doing the research. So according to me, if the correspondence goes to the supervisor, it's well and good, but we cannot argue much on this, because authorship related things, it comes under the ethical values. It is up to the individuals where they are going with these authorships. It's not a controversial thing I want to discuss, but it's depend upon the relation between the your supervisor and you, or your senior, or maybe the sometimes my boss. Okay, it might be happen, it's happened to me also. If you give the authorship to them, you will be get promoted or doing something, otherwise you will be still remain same, even it's the 10 years or 15 years. But if you give the every paper authorship, then you will be get promotions. So it's happened throughout the globe. Inadequate personal behavior, then the failure to disclose a conflict of interest, this all comes under the breaches of scientific ethics. Then you are supposed to know about the affiliation. In scientific papers, the affiliation is the institute that each author belongs to. It's usually listed below the author names as the department or the university, because today I am here by offering the Masa University, Malaysia, who is offering the salary since 7 years to me. Whatever the work I did here, I supposed to be give the affiliation to that university only. This institute, each authors are worked at during the time that the study was conducted, whatever it is. But sometime what happened, people will be do work in a particular, especially it happened in the private institutions. They will be gather all the information. Then they have a lot of data to be move on next. Then during that time, they won't mention anything about the previous institution where they work. Then they go there and they start publishing their data, and they prove themselves they are the good researcher in the new institution without having any funds. But what actually happened, all the funds you got it from the previous institution where you work, but now there is no use of that funds given by that particular, because it is depend on the individual. Again, I am telling, it is not the controversial. Again, it is depend upon the individuals. According to me, whatever the research I am doing here, I need to publish according to that affiliation who supported during that time. Then retracted scientific journal papers. Here is the one journal paper which is around published in, just a minute, yeah, in the 2013 it was published. What is the journal actually? It is called the retracted journal. Just you can Google the title, you can get the full paper, where it is a Elsevier paper. Okay, original article which is published in the what is called endometriosis journal, which is a title itself. The journal that published a paper claiming that attractive women were more likely to develop the endometriosis has finally retracted the article more than a month after the author called for the move. The article is Attractiveness of Women with Rectovaginal Endometriosis, a case control, appeared in this, the Fertility and Sterility, and official publication of the American Society of Reproductive Medicine. Over the years, it had been subject of criticism. In early August, the authors of the paper from the Italy called for the retraction of the work, but that didn't happen until now. Because you can see the still these papers are available per the retractive notice, which is undated, has become the common for Elsevier journal that overwrite their original HTML pages, but seems to be have appeared within the last few days. This article has been retracted at the request of the authors. The entire group of investigators contributing to this study. Actually, first you need to know what is this rectovaginal endometriosis. the where we called it as a uterus and the rectal region, the particularly the metriosis will be go in. That condition we called it as a endometriosis. But where the paper is retracted is he mentioned about the attractiveness of women. So what I convey here, the title when you are choosing, we should be very wise to choose the title. The entire group of investigators contributing to this study request to withdraw this article. We conducted this study in good faith and according to the correct methodology. We believe that our findings have been partly misinterpreted, but at the same time, realize that the article may have caused distress to some people. Women's respect is a priority for us, and we are extremely sorry for the discontent the publication originated. This is the message from the authors. Actually, they asked the subjects to measure all the blah blahs they did. So this is all the way what really the research you are doing. Is it really required? Whether you are link it with the attractiveness and all. So we need to be looking into it. Then ethical issues involving in the clinical trials, informed consent by the parents or the proxy, question of quantification of risk, participation of healthy children, use of placebo, then the payment or the compensation if anything goes wrong, conflict between the physician duty of beneficence and randomization, the right and safety of research subjects. This is about the ethical issues involving in the clinical trials. All type of research involving in human participants related to the generation of new knowledge for a diagnosis, treatment, and prevention in the field of human health and disease. Why the research in the clinical field is important? Because either we may be helping to do diagnosis. Okay, research conducting clinical trials should follow the ethical principles in relevant legislation and international guidelines, minimize the harm and risk, and maximize the benefit, respect the human dignity, privacy, and autonomy. Actually, I can see where I have a few experiences in Malaysia, the data of the individual patients were kept very perfect in the what we call the privacy. That is very important. Whether the animals need to be used as a research subjects, yes, if you ask the company, say yes, because they want to earn the money. If you ask the animal side or the animal activists, we say stop it because it's a painful. Research on the animals should be carried out. There is no available alternative for substitution. Until that, don't touch the animals. Try to be people doing. Actually, I have one friend. What actually he do? I don't want to mention any name here, but he buy every time 40 albino mice, 30 to 40 albino mice. Simply do the injection of some plant derivative extract and inject on the paw of the mice. Then after, by using the vernier calipers, they measured. After measuring, he not able to maintain that 40 animals. What actually did? Only just a simple research, which is in the 40 of the mice, albino mice, which is using for the research. Paw, you know the paw of the mice, right? Just inject. Then what is the swelling? Collagen will be injected there. What is the swelling there? Then he apply with his plant extract. Then show that his plant extract is good for the anti-inflammatory activity. Of course, publish a good papers. But what you did really? 40 animals are sacrificed every year without doing any metabolic activity study or nothing. No liver study, no heart study, no brain study, nothing. Only doing a minimal research. For that, we might be using some other sources instead of sacrificing that animal, or we may be call it back to the veterinary people to be maintained it. It might be helpful. Okay, this is about do not conduct unnecessary or poorly designed animal experiment. I can say this experiment, what my friend doing is poorly designed animal experiment. Then show the proper respect and care for animals when using them in the research. So here I show you what actually the animals are feeling about when you are telling the research, how the animals, the truth about animal testing.
All right, bring him out.
How really animal suffers.
Hold him down. Let's just get it over with.
Testing. 1,
2, 3. Come here.
I want to take you on a trip. It won't be pretty.
Look. What do we see?
Testing, testing.
Animal testing.
They get hurt. Bad.
The kind of burning,
Fear-producing.
cage circling,
Screaming.
hurt that we shudder to even imagine.
All in the name of research.
Testing. 1,
2,
3. Does a rabbit wear mascara in the wild?
Do you hop around laying pellets in your pad? Hope not.
Animals react to drugs differently than we do.
Because mice are not little men.
Because mice are not little men.
Because they can't tell you how much it hurts.
Bottom line, their systems are different than ours.
Remember, it hurts.
They bleed just like we do.
They suffer just as we do.
They feel lonely and sad just like we do.
They want to live.
Just like we do.
Because when it comes to pain, hunger, and thirst,
And not wanting to die,
we're all basically the same.
all this while more sophisticated non-animal test methods exist.
Because testing on animals gives faulty results.
Because it was wrong when we did it to orphans, blacks, GIs, and gypsies.
And it's wrong when we do it to animals.
Because we can't explain what we're doing to them. And if we could, what would we say?
It is unscientific.
Unscientific.
You can't accurately apply the results to humans. Because after all this,
You know
It's just
plain
wrong.
testing. 1,
2, 3.
testing.
Here is just a video which I showed to you all. What really the animals feels about the testing, what is going with them, then a video from the PITA. Okay, then next we move on. These are the ethical issues involving an animal experiment where you are using the rat and mouse mostly for the cancer research and the metabolic diseases, testing of drug activity and genome research. What the belief is, the chromosomal structure or the chromosomal activity of the mice and human are a bit similarity. So mostly the cancer cell line work or the cancer work is going on it. When it comes to the pigs, the transplantations, because the kidneys of pig and human acceptable by the xenograft. So the transplantation surgeries or the osteogenesis synthesis or the emergency surgeries, diabetic can be done in that. Rabbits mostly used for the test of drug activity and the vaccine development. Cow and horse also used for the vaccine development and isolation, mainly on the veterinary research. Cat used for the heart surgery and the neurophysiological study because the brain of the cat and human beings respond on the smartness, so they use it. Then the dog for the cardiovascular research and the heart surgery, more or less everything used for the diabetic research. Just imagine it, the picture which shows here, how crucially we are making suffering to these animals. The animal rights, we need to involve those who are involved in the animal experiment, animal right, animal protection and welfare, pain and suffering of the animal, beneficiaries towards the human versus non-malfeasance towards the animal, benefit to human being are not proven, animal euthanasia. Then why animal models are necessary in the bioscience research? Because animal studies are important in research to better understanding of the physiological process and testing of new treatment modalities aimed at the better health in humans. It is used to advance the scientific understanding of biological research. It helps to develop and test a potential form of treatment to protect the safety of the people, animals, and the environment. The 3 R's must be used. Replacement, the methods that avoid or replace the use of animal in research. Reduction, use of the method that enable researchers to obtain the comparable level of information from fewer animals or to obtain more information from the same number of animals. Refinement, use of methods that elevate or minimize potential pain, suffering or distress and enhance animal welfare for the animal used. Then the ethical issues in the genetic screening. Now the technology developed well. In Malaysia, mostly all the parents, they know their baby gender by the 5th month or 6th month, who is going to be land in after another 5 months, 6 months, either the baby or baby boy or the girl. Then here main thing of genetic screening is to identify in the pre-implanted embryo or the newborns to know is there any possibilities of the genetic disorders or the genetic abnormalities. And at the same time, what is going ethically wrong, beside that, they're going to know the gender, the physical characteristics such as the sex, height, hair type, and other can be evaluated. But the prenatal diagnosis provide an option for the couple to consider abortion if there is an affected fetus. But at the same time, there is a misuse happening in this technology also. There are ethical issues involving the genetic screening, especially about the eugenesis, fairness in the use of genetic information by the nurses, employers, school, adoption agencies, military and other, personal genetic information protection and uses, who owns and control the genetic information, privacy and confidentiality of the genetic information. Here you can see, now we can be decide whether we want to go for the male or the female. Everything can be do through the genetic engineering. You might be see here another picture after this, ethical issues in the genome editing. Here is the gentleman in 2019. He, Jian Kui, proposed his work on the gene editing to reduce the HIV disease burden in the world. He had modified a key gene in a number of human embryo in a way though to confer the resistance to HIV. He recruited the couples in which the father was infected with HIV and the mother was not. Twin babies were born with this gene. He claimed that he had created the first gene editing babies that designated to the naturally immune to HIV, which you call the CRISPR technology, the gene editing by the CRISPR babies he called. But unfortunately, what happened, this is the story about the genome editing. I'm not going to take much about the genome editing. Simple thing where the genes are editing, either it may be plants or animals. The systems are same, but the different in the application method. But unfortunately, see the Chinese scientists who produced genetically altered babies sentenced to 3 years in jail because this Chinese researcher who stunned the world last year by announcing he had helped produce genetically edited babies has been found guilty of conducting illegal medical practices and sentenced to 3 years in prison. What actually the issues in his research? Breaching the Chinese and international ethical convention on human gene editing, genetic manipulation of human gametes, zygotes, and embryo for the reproductive purpose of prohibited according to the technical norms on human assisted reproduction, the ethics principle for human assisted reproductive technology, and the human sperm bank. Questionable scientific and therapeutic benefits, illegitimate, what I mentioned earlier, the legitimate to the work right, but illegitimate ethics review procedure, problem with the information and consent process, ethical problems in procedure. These all make to change the human embryo changes. Where he did the embryonic stem cell is one of the earliest stage of human life, which made from cell found in the human bastula. The ethical issue in this type of research is some people see destroying embryo is same as destroying an unborn child. So we need to be very careful about this. Ethical issues involving in human tissue, that consent to the store and use of human tissue for research, remove the human tissue for genetical either for the deceased or living. This all comes under the ethical issues. We need to be very careful. Consent, newborn baby, whose consent need to be taken? To what degree can parent or guardian of the child have the authority to give the consent as the representative of the child? What if, for example, mother say no, but the father says yes? There is a lot of genetical issues also there. There is a color complexion, gender. I saw a lot of cases where the fathers don't like, especially in our country, if the baby girl born, it is not the story about the so long, it is a story about the 10 years back. The father don't want to take the baby back to home. So these all the situations happen now. This is the consent. Who need to be take care? The baby asking who is going to say yes for me. So these are the issues. Then issues and challenges in the induced consent. Then based on the, just I mentioned, like if you give the remuneration much, as I mentioned here, some note for me. Yeah, while it is a proper that incentive should be provided to the compensate for their time and effort sacrificed, it should not distract or deviate the attention from the nature of the research. There is always a possibility that subjects participate on a study solely for its a huge and irresponsible incentives. If an incentive of $50,000 is provided as one-off payment to the volunteers on vaccine test in a week, it will seem very tempting to accept. Why the people go? See here, if you have a amount of the incentive, the people will be ready to give the volunteering. Just I mentioned earlier, the 3,000 is a big money in the 2006. Now maybe if you provide 50,000, the people will be ready. Then again, there is a problem in the sponsorship versus the confidentiality. You maybe get funded from the ICMR. You maybe get funded from the DBT or the DST or somewhere. You are interested, your research is interesting, I will fund you. Then later, as agreed, you have to show me your data. Of course, this is ethically right or wrong based on the documentation. If it is right, right, if no, wrong. Then the cross-culture relativism. The work which you did in the South Africa cannot be done in the...
Can you finish it within 5 minutes?
Yes, sir, I almost there.
Can you finish it? Yeah, it is 5:05, so just
okay, right.
Wind up, sir. 5 minutes.
Okay, right. Undertaking the studies in population of different cultural background requires the deep understanding of their norms, culture, and what is prohibited. Because we cannot ask the consent for the same reason for the same people. Don't go for the cherry picking. So here, look into the figures. This is the company A and B, which have the drug in the market. When you pick the data, it might be very good in the peak, but later in the 2020, it is a decline. The company B, which you are looking, might be have a growth. So we have to have a very proper way to monitor this all. I funded the project. I have the final say. My team did the research. Why are not the credited? These are all the authorship issues. Then organs on the chip. bioinformatics work, which may be the computer modeling, called it as a CAD, SARS, QSR. No need to go for the animal model by using the bioinformatics tools, where you can have a chances to predict the binding affinity of particular drug. You no need to do the clinical trials and all. Computational biology will help us to do such a research. Then go for the alternative organisms like the microorganisms, or maybe the zebrafish or the Drosophila, which might be help us. Very important thing, one bad apple spoils the bunch. Don't be the one of that bad apple. Try to guide to promote the integrity, compliance, and ethical standards in the conduct of research. Even though the occurrence of misconduct is quite rare, the readers and the researchers should be aware of this growing concern. So we need to be very careful. I take this opportunity to thank my students who are involved in this to prepare and all. The Crystal, Nivashini, Jason, Deva, and Charles. Thank you. Hopefully they may be participated here for this session. Now my turn finished as a presenter. I am ready to address any few questions are there if I try my level best. Thank you everyone for your wonderful patience. Done, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for from the beginning you are just narrated. This topic ethics is vast and it cannot be covered in 2 hours, but I congratulate you and I thank you for covering such a vast topic in within 2 hours of a stipulated time. And you have covered, basically that agriculture aspects more, because most of our students are from agriculture and horticulture background. And I really thank you for taking a lot of interest and all the information and presenting it in a nice way. And you have spoken about all the angle, like starting from this pesticide, this transgenics, and these are the issues has to be addressed, and they have nicely presented, sir. And also the last one is not the least that medical aspects, animal, and then human medical science, what are the issues and other things. So I really thank you, sir, for giving your valuable time and narrating. Now, dear participants, I'll unmute your privilege of asking the questions. If you want to interact directly, you can ask the questions. I hope in the chat box, if you wish, you can type it. There are one question.
There is one question from the Thakur Krishna Shankar Rao. Some lights on the ethics with respect to cloning an animal, health problems and prevalent in the cloned animals. I tried already because it is the post off session. The question was read. Clonings.
Only one question. Yeah, and then he just
yeah. Dear participants, I have given a privilege to unmute yourself and then speak. So if you have any query, just unmute yourself and you can ask. Okay, sir. If not, I will ask one question.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question here?
Sure,
so
sure,
these
sure,
ethics, coming into of late, this ethics has to be considered before doing it. And also, you rightly said about plagiarism and other research. One. Now, my question is. Now, it is a more pressure on the researcher, like before starting any kind of agriculture research. Are we necessary to go for, studying ethics before giving the research topic? The issues has to
Sir, your voice is a bit interrupting in the last, this 30 seconds. Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have asked that question. You can answer it now.
Yeah, you asked me that before going for the research, whether the student need to know about the ethics. That is the question,
Ethics,
right, sir?
is it compulsory?
Yes, sir. For the any professional degree in all our curriculums in the standard throughout the globe, we have research methodology as a subject. Before they going for their final year research, they must go through the research methodology where they will be learn the content of what is the basic ethics to be followed. Either it may be agree or whatever it is in the professional degree, we need to know what is actually the ethics to be followed in that concerned profession. Because without knowing, the doctor don't know what is the ethics of professionalism. He go to the market, then he started his business, then what they are not properly treat. In the same way, the agri doctors also the same. If we ethics of the morals of that particular industry, it must be teach to the every student before they go for their research. That is my answer, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. And participant, if any question, you please ask.
Sir, can I ask you one question, sir?
Most welcome.
Sir, is the principle and criteria for ethical issues, sir, before taking a data from the it's a questionnaire based data, so while publishing the results of this kind of data, do we need to take the consent from the participants or respondents, sir?
If we are taking that research itself, whether we are going for publication or not, what is the, I already mentioned in one slide there, what exactly you are doing the research. We must convey the message to the participant why we are doing this research. In that itself, we need to get the consent form. Any research, simply you are collecting the data, what you are eating from the morning to the evening. This is the data you are collecting from me. But it should be have consent form, why you are doing this research. This data might be published later. We have to take the consent form. It's must. Because we are dealing with Anglia Ruskin University, UK. So where some of my students, those who are doing the work which is related to the questionnaire, it must be get the ethical approval from the UK. Then only they are able to do, even though it is a simple Google Meet questionnaire.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. If participants have to ask any question, they can ask. It's the last chance for the participants. Then we'll move to our next segment of this session. Okay, thank you all the participants for their patience hearing. And now I request co-coordinator of this organizing committee, Dr. Nancy Lego, to give a vote of thanks.
I'll do it here. Yeah. Look at the camera.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, all. So it's my privilege to have been asked to propose the vote of thanks for today's occasion. So at the very beginning, I, on the behalf of organizing committee, would like to express my gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Premjit Singh, for his guidance and support. I would also like to give a special thank to our Director of Instruction, Dr. S. Basanta Singh, for his valuable time, for his support, and giving us this opportunity to conduct this 4-day webinar under IDP Naga project. And I would also like to express my sincere thanks to our speaker today, Dr. Naga Surya, for his blessed presence and sharing his knowledge with all of us. Thank you so much, sir. And I would also like to express my thanks to our beloved Dean, Dr. B.N. Hazarika, for his support, for his constant word of encouragement. Thank you so much, sir. Then I wish to express my hearty word of thanks to all the participants and congratulate them for actively participating in this webinar. And also like to express my thanks to Dr. Raja and his associates, Dr. Nasera Begane and Ms. Monisha Makong, for providing us with all the technical assistance. Thank you so much, sir. And last but not the least, I would like to thank the organizing committee and all the teaching and the non-teaching staff of our college for giving us this cooperation to conduct this webinar. I hope you all had a good time. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Over to Shivani Ram.
Now I request all the participants to unmute their screen so that we can take a group picture together with the speaker. So I request all the participants to please unmute their screens.
Start the video.
You start.
Move to next. Next page. Next page.
Should we take a screenshot or what?
Yeah, automatically it is taking. Yeah, record. We take awesome to next. Move to next page.
That's it. No, that's still opening, sir. One page.
Yeah.
I request all the participants, please open your videos. All the participants.
Yeah, it just come.
Quickly. It's a final call to the participants to unmute their screen and just be in front of the camera. All the participants. So on behalf of our organizing committee, I would like to inform each of the participants to be on time tomorrow also. Thank you so much for your patience hearing, and I again thanks to our speaker, sir. Thank you so much for your valuable time, sir, and sharing your vast knowledge on this topic of ethical knowledge. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Shivani. Thanks for this opportunity.
Okay.
Everyone, thank you for your patience. See you all. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.